Hey there, my name is Chadwick Aaron Boseman, and welcome to Draw My Life. I was born on November 29th, 1977. Yeah, I said 1977. My most famous role has been playing T'Challa, aka Black Panther, in the Marvel Universe. But I'll get into that a little later. I was born in South Carolina and raised in the city of Anderson. My mom was a nurse, and my dad owned an upholstery business. I graduated from Hanna High School in 1995 and from Howard University in Washington, D.C. in 2000, with a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Directing. I graduated from the British American Drama Academy in Oxford, and I also graduated from New York City's Digital Film Academy. I know, what can I say? I really enjoyed wearing the mortarboards. I eventually moved to LA in 2008 to pursue acting full-time. My first TV role was in Third Watch, Law & Order, and ER. My first feature film was The Express, and my first starring role was in the film 42. I played James Brown in Get On Up too, and I think most of the roles I've done have been iconic. I've got to admit it though, I think I might be done with the biopics. There was a point in my career where I thought about giving up acting to become a director full-time, but then I was cast in an off-Broadway play that I'd auditioned for. There were 25 other actors being considered for the role, but they picked me. So I stuck with acting. The first time I played T'Challa was in Captain America: Civil War, and Black Panther is the second, but it's on a bigger scale because I'm the lead. I think it's appropriate to showcase some of my Black Panther knowledge. So obviously Wakanda is a technologically advanced African nation, and an exceedingly rare metal called vibranium is mined there, making it one of the most richest and most advanced nations on Earth. The very worthy men and women of Wakanda are all trained as warriors to protect their homeland, which is pretty badass, right? Also, if vibranium sounds familiar, it's what Captain America's shield is made from. It was a major plot point in Avengers Age of Ultron, which actually introduced Wakanda in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I've gotten a lot of praise and a lot of heat because of the accent. As a result of colonialism, it would be reasonable to expect T'Challa to have been educated in Europe. However, colonialism didn't touch Wakanda. Colonialism in Africa would have it that, in order to be a ruler, his education comes from Europe. I wanted to be completely sure that we didn't convey that idea, because that would counter to everything that Wakanda is about. It's supposed to be the most technologically advanced nation on the planet. If it's supposed to not have been conquered, which means that advancement has happened without colonialism tainting it, without stopping it or disrupting it, then there's no way he would speak with a European accent. If I did that, I would be conveying a white supremacist idea of what being educated is, and what being royal or presidential is. Because it's not just about him running around fighting. He's the ruler of the nation, and if he's the ruler of the nation, he has to speak to his people. He has to galvanize his people, and there's no way I could speak to my people who have never been conquered by Europeans with a European voice. Okay, so this is the part where I tell you some facts about myself. Marvel have signed me for 5 films, including Captain America: Civil War and Black Panther. I have a huge family. I have 41 first cousins on one side and then 23 on the other. I wrote a play called Deeper Zero. I'm actually a really great dancer, and I'm a decent singer too.
I know a ton about Thurgood Marshall, past the Brown versus the Board of Education, the fact that he was the first African-American Supreme Court justice. But I thought it was really interesting that you also went to Howard and you went to the same school as this man.
Right, yeah.
And it just made me think, like, I wonder how a historically black university played a part in both of your intentions for how your career would go.
Well, what I found what I found to be interesting about, because I didn't attend a white university, so I can't really make the comparison.
Yeah.
I studied in an exchange at Oxford, so I can make a little bit of a comparison, but to spend your 4 years at a place and have the culture of that place I guess, direct your mind and direct your focus and purpose, I know what that is. Howard was one of the schools that was created after slavery to sort of catch the enslaved African up with the rest of the country. Its purpose was to create teachers and ministers to improve the African-American situation. I think a similar thing sort of probably happened with me at Howard as a theater student, because you as a theater student would be taught Shakespeare and Pinter and Beckett, and when I went to study in Oxford, I studied those things.
Sure. Shaw.
Yeah, exactly. You, I think at Howard would be pressed to focus on August Wilson, Rob Penny, Susan Lloyd Parks, a myriad of of Black playwrights and writers who, you know, essentially are writing the African experience. Like, they are writing what you are actually going to be doing.
Right.
Because I'm going to be playing Black characters.
Right.
Even if the character is written, you know, to be white and I end up playing it, I'm still Black. But Howard, I feel like, and any other historically Black college that, you know, feels like they have a great theater program, it allows you to learn that experience while you're in school and be confident in it, and you don't ever have to walk out and go, oh, I have to find that I'm in the real world now, and
I have to make a shift.
Nobody ever taught me.
Yeah.
They taught me Shakespeare, Pinter, and Beckett, but now here I am. I have to bring myself to the table.
Like the stamp, you need to read this, right? And I didn't want to read it because it was about a real person, and I've already done that. But I knew Reggie, and so that got me to the point where I was like, I'm engaged. Once I read it, it had something special about it. For me, that thing was the fact that he's gagged. Like, I thought when I'm reading, oh, they want me to play Thurgood Marshall, I'm gonna have like all these like long courtroom speeches that you always get when you play an attorney, and then I get to a certain point and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't get to talk? But I kept reading and I understood that, you know, it's like being a boxer and have your arms tied behind your back. That's a challenge. Now how are we gonna deal with that?
I read a little something about how, you know, there was some resistance from your part of wanting to play James Brown, and that came on the heels of 42, and I could understand the idea that, man, I don't want to just become the guy that takes on every biopic of a significant African American in history.
Right.
And I wonder if you have a different standard or a different obligation or a different responsibility that you've grown into in terms of the stories you want to tell. Are you held to a different standard by yourself?
I would definitely say that there's a different thing that I'm looking for, probably. And I would say it probably always was a different thing I was looking for because of that prior experience, like the manifesto that you're sort of given at Howard to tell stories, you know, that sort of highlight the African American experience. I think you relish those opportunities. And
right.
So, I mean, it's like we live in a society where the arts have affected how we view the world. You know, so we've gone through periods of time where stereotypical versions of the Black experience have negatively affected how people view their surroundings and view people. And you could go, well, I'm just gonna work. I don't care what it says, but why do that when there's such a wealth of stories like that have been neglected over the years? There's way more information there than there is in the stereotype, which is hollow.
Right.
Even if the experience is one where I'm gonna play a black serial killer, people may have in their mind, I don't know any black serial killers, right? Not saying I wanna do that.
Right.
But if that is somehow even doing this thing that is viewed as negative, might open up people's minds to say that, oh, he was bad, but damn, he was smart.
Right.
If I can watch Dexter and fall in love with that character, right? You know, and he's a white boy, why can't I do that with a black character?
You're right.
I'm not allowed as a black man to be that and be loved. And so to me, there's not necessarily this, you know, very base level of, oh, these characters are great and they're iconic and I have to play them. It's like, what is freedom?